Now, Eskom has unveiled the first of its kind and the largest Hex battery energy storage system project, also known as the Hex BESS project. It is the first to be completed under Eskom's flagship BESS project announced back in 2022, aimed at bolstering the national grid. To tell us more about it, and we are now joined by Eskom Group Executive Distribution, Monde Bala. Mr. Bala, we appreciate your time this morning. Let's perhaps look at how exactly the details of it. This will help to alleviate the pressure on the national electricity grid.
Good morning, Jenna-Leigh, and good morning to the viewers. How this will help in assisting the grid is that it's used as a storage system. So what happens is when there is a capacity that is available, it is then stored in these batteries for when it is required. So when it is required, we then have the ability of calling upon that power from those batteries. So in that way, it then supports the stability of the grid itself. It also aids in as far as load shedding is concerned, in that we know that the demand is low at certain times of the day. So when the demand is low, we then charge up the batteries. So when it's required, then especially in terms of load shedding, we then tend to the batteries for power.
How did you come to the conclusion to do the first project right there in Worcester in the Western Cape?
So we've identified a number of sites across the country. So the project itself is in two phases. The first phase is made up of 8 sites, of which the Worcester Hex site is one of the sites. There are other sites in other provinces such as KwaZulu-Natal, Northern Cape, and the Eastern Cape. So yes, this is the first in terms of the rollout of this massive program that you're undertaking.
This project also created a large number of jobs for the local residents there in Worcester.
Yes, we had agreed with the contractor that Husong that we embarked this project with, that we will utilize as much of the local labor as possible. So we created in excess of 230 jobs during the construction phase of this project. Going forward, we still the plant is there, it is alive, and now it will require it to be operated and maintained. So with that, again, we're going to be utilizing our local labor.
Before we focus on the impact on the national grid again, also just talk me through the community projects that were supported by this project, for instance. Will we also be seeing this in the other provinces where more sites will be built?
Absolutely, absolutely. As part of the delivery of this program, it is important that we take our communities along with us, because this is a public asset, this is a national asset. So it is important for us to ensure that as we evolve the energy landscape, that we take our communities with us. So it is important from the beginning of the project, that we have our communities with us. They have to be a part of this. They also need to feel that they own this as their own asset.
Now, I read somewhere that this specific site can power a small town for up to 5 hours. Just talk us through the capacity again, please.
So the size of this battery, which is, again, it's the first of its kind on the continent, it's a 20 megawatt facility. So with this 20 megawatt, we can power a town as big as Mossel Bay for up to 5 hours. So what then happens is, say, for example, the lights go off at Mossel Bay. We should then be able to dispatch from this facility for up to 5 hours. So if you imagine load shedding at any given time, it's a 2-hour cycle. We should easily be able to ride through the load shedding cycles.
Mr. Bala, let's have a look at some of the sustainable energy aspects of this specific project. Also, once again, talk to me about the impact on the environment.
So this is one of the key first steps that we've taken in terms of ensuring that we decarbonize our electricity supply. So with this storage facility, we will be able to harness the power that is being produced by our wind turbines that are connected to the grid, by the solar PV panels that are connected onto the grid, thereby ensuring that we are reducing our reliance on fossil fuels. So that we then go towards decarbonizing our energy value chain.
Now, this is also a first, not just for South Africa, but for the entire continent as well. Looking ahead, you're planning as Eskom to launch phase 2 of the BESS project. More details on that, please.
So phase 2 is currently underway. I think our focus now is to complete phase 1 because we still have got 7 more sites that we need to complete. So in parallel with that, we are in the process of securing all the funding requirements for the phase 2. Once that is finalized, we will then be able to undertake the phase 2 part of the program. I think beyond the phase 2, we see this as an integral part of how our infrastructure is going to develop going into the future. Because as we go into the future, storage is going to become one of the key elements in how we develop the energy landscape.
We're continuing to hear, Mr. Bala, that the energy crisis in South Africa is not one that Eskom will be able to solve on its own, but it would have to be a collaborative effort of some sorts. This project, you believe, is an example of what is possible if there is collaboration. Just explain to our viewers, perhaps, the partnership that was involved in this project.
So this was, as you indicated earlier, a flagship project. So in this project, what we have experienced is a serious level of collaboration between the public sector and the private sector, where we see state-owned entities such as Eskom collaborate with other role players to develop this facility. So Eskom, funded by its funders, then enlisted the use of the private sector in terms of the contractor. That then allowed us to deliver this project not only but within time, but also within budget. So it is one of those projects that is setting the example. We have indeed lifted the bar on what can happen when we work together jointly.
Now, Mr. Bala, just very briefly, I've run out of time. This, of course, just phase 1 of the project. You did allude to the rest of the rolling out of this project. You said earlier that we might already be able to use this significantly as residents. Will we already feel a little bit of an impact of this one project or not quite yet? If you don't mind just unmuting yourself for me.
Yeah. No, I think every little step that takes us towards the resolution of the energy crisis, it helps. Yes, you might not feel it as an individual, but definitely at a grid level, the impact is felt. As we roll out more and more of these facilities, we're going to start seeing more and more benefits, then which will then translate to you, Jenna-Leigh, and your family. But yes, every step definitely it counts.
There we have it. Every step indeed definitely counts. That was Monde Bala from Eskom just talking to us about that new project, and hopefully as the phases continue to roll out, you will be able to feel the impact at your home.